Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Eamon Beyond. Today I'm joined by Connor
Hey guys.
and Mike.
Hello.
And it is a early January snowy evening tonight, and I think it is the perfect time to do our state of the industry analysis / predictions for the year. So this year is interesting in different ways from 2023. 2023 was in many ways the year of games, just game after game after game after game.
We got all
and
the
they
COVID games. All the
we
things
got
that
all
were
the
all
COVID
delayed.
collapsed
games
at once.
and then some, and they
Yeah.
were all really good. Like,
Yeah, crazy.
all of the hyped up games delivered, all the games that weren't hyped up even delivered even more so, one could argue.
Yeah.
I will say, at this time last year, it was a little stinky for the AAA space, but that's because all the live service games came out in the beginning of the year.
Well, okay, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that is one of the things I kind of wanted to bring up, like for our analysis. Live service games. So I kind of feel like there's a bubble about to burst on these, because there's so many people pursuing these. There's so many failures. Sony is devoting half their first party, which is renowned for single player narrative experiences, to live service games. And none of these live services games have even come out yet. So presumably, like, half of the first party games coming out in the latter half of the PS5's life cycle are going to be these live service games. I mean, they acquired Bungie to help with live service.
See, I think that could be good. I think Marathon has potential to be a good game, but I do kind of wonder why Sony... It feels like a misstep to me for Sony to move from its very powerful, I think, bread and butter of these single-player narrative games.
I wholly agree.
Because they're already, like... They're getting 30 cents on the dollar on every Fortnite cosmetic that PlayStation players buy. And they're getting that basically for free, They're not having to put any work into that. I don't understand why they need...
They don't need anything. Like, no one needs to have a live service game. It's just the most profitable business model currently, so everyone's salivating over it. And it just concerns me because, like, we've seen time and time again that there are way more failures in this space than successes.
Well, there's also, like, zero creativity in the space. Like, it's all battle pass. It's all, like, shooters. It's all, like... I guess granted, the one creative one I played failed, but the Rumbleverse. But,
oh my god, don't you mention that name in front of me.
I know.
It still causes me pain.
It hurts. But, like, why... I don't know. I feel like there are other games that have essentially been live service games all along that, like, the AAA developers refuse to look at the template of. Like, you could almost call Stardew Valley or Terraria live service the way that they keep releasing these updates that bring people back. Or
they
Minecraft.
could, but I think everyone has an unofficial agreed upon definition of live service, and it is the Fortnite-like, right?
Yeah, they're wrong for that. It's a stupid, like,
I
Fortnite
think the
exists.
concept of, like, a live service game is that it has seasonal content that comes out with a battle pass, and you have to pay for the seasonal content every 3-4 months or however long a season pass lasts.
I'm saying there's no innovation in gameplay, though. Like, they're all shooters. They're all...
They don't have to be shooters. In that respect, Diablo is kind of unique because it's at least like an action RPG dungeon crawler kind of game.
And I think it's going to do well as a result of not being a shooter. It's not just Fortnite again.
And that's what worries me, right? Because from what we've seen of Sony's live service games, their games are shooters too. And I'm like, there is no way all of these games survive in this space. Like, what makes you think you're going to be able to topple Apex Legends, for example, or Fortnite? Like, there's just...
No, but the first company that puts out a live service roguelike is going to eat my lunch. Like, I'm going to be, so
the way
dedicated.
I see it,
like, a roguelike with monthly content? Absolutely.
Yeah. The way I see it, with games taking 7-8 years on average to make, it's real bad and it's real, like, nearsighted for companies to decide to make something that was trendy 7 years ago, start development on it, and then release it 7 years later to a market that's radically changed, and then just eat that. Like, look at Rocksteady right now with Suicide
That's
Squad.
a great example. I was just about to bring that up. that's the picture perfect example of why this is a bad idea.
Yeah, like
This game
that game's gonna fail.
cost an ungodly amount to make. It's Rocksteady's biggest game, and there's zero chance this game succeeds.
Like when
I
the
don't understand why
pre-release
they're
comes
finishing it.
out and all the journalists are negative on it, there's a problem.
Oh, I just don't understand why, because like everyone knew this game was going to be bad like 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't understand why they finished it, because I don't think it's going to make. I can't imagine it's going to make 3 years worth of development back.
I mean, I
Honestly,
don't know how much
the
of it
second-
has to be like sunk cost fallacy.
I think it's
I
We
just-
already put so much into this that we have to follow through and try to make it work.
I
I
refuse
think the
to believe
kicker for that game is that like they brought journalists in, paid them to come in and do pre-release screening, and every one of them left that building with a negative opinion out of that game.
I was kind of surprised by that too, Mike. I can't remember the last time something like that has happened.
Like they literally were paid to go there, and
Yeah.
they're like, "This game sucks. Don't even buy it." That's a sign that they should have canceled that game 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just, I guess sunk cost fallacy exists, but when you're dealing with these millions of dollars, I like to think
Yeah.
that there's someone involved smart enough to not fall
I
for
don't
such
know,
an
like-
obvious fallacy.
Big profile games get canceled all the time. Like,
Exactly,
I
yeah.
think Scalebound is the biggest example we know of, and I'm sure there's dozens of examples that we don't know of. Because why would they even make those public?
I
But
think someone at
this is one
Rocksteady
that seems to have
high up
slipped
is just
through.
so convinced
Someone
it'll work.
somewhere high up believes in this game, while no
And
one
no
else
one else
does.
does.
And,
But-
okay, take a step back, look at the industry a bit. The person who believed in this game is not going to be the one who suffers, and that makes me
Yeah.
so mad. It's going to be the developers who spent
Oh yeah,
9 years of their
Rocksteady's
lives.
gonna. There's
Working
gonna
on
be
a game
bloodshed
with
at Rocksteady
DOA.
for sure.
Yeah, and whoever the idiot who pushed this game through, that dude's gonna get a golden parachute and be fine.
I think my biggest prediction for this coming year, though, is that like layoffs are going to continue. It's
They
going
already
to
have.
become
We're
more
already
and more
seeing
common.
it.
Yeah,
We have in 10 days. We already had like 10% of the layoffs that were in 2023. It's a bloodbath. It's only getting
Yeah.
worse.
as we discussed with like the Insomniac leaks, games are just getting to the point where they're too expensive to produce, and they're not going to make their money back. Give it another year, 2, 3, and AAA, as we know it, will be unteenable just because they cost so much.
Yeah, things have to change. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Like
I
we're
agree,
pursuing
yeah.
Hollywood levels of budgets when gaming is never going to sell Hollywood levels of money or make that money
That's
back.
Actually, not true.
It sells more than Hollywood, but
Yeah.
the problem is that like there is a point at which the cost will just become so much that the profit doesn't become worth it.
Yeah,
and
we're
we
getting
can't
there
afford
very
a flop.
quickly.
Movie
And-
studios can afford a flop. Movies
Yeah,
don't cost
and-
as much to make as games do.
That's why like this release for this game, Suicide Squad, kind of makes me worried about what might happen to Rocksteady. Like
Yeah,
this is their biggest game, cost the most amount of money to make, and like obviously it hasn't come out yet. We could be wrong, but like I would be willing to bet a lot of money that it just completely flops.
I definitely
Like I'm
do
thinking like
see-
Avengers Anthem level flop.
I do see in the next couple years AAA companies trying to raise the cost of their games, and I definitely see pushback because 70 is already a hard sell for me.
Yeah.
80 to 90, no, I'm not paying that much for a game. I'm waiting.
Well,
Like,
did you all
there's
see
no reason.
the Ubisoft quote? I forget if it was today or
Oh
yesterday.
my gosh.
But
Yeah.
one of the executives at Ubisoft was saying gamers need to get used to the idea of not owning their games, and I would reply to that you should get used to the idea of me not paying for your games. Like,
Yeah, like
I mean, granted, I already don't buy Ubisoft games. I'm probably going to buy Assassin's Creed VR, or Assassin's Creed Nexus. But
Yeah, I mean,
it's-
like I don't know how he could say that, and because that's just so out of touch with reality. Like, yes, Game Pass is a smashing success, but the vast majority of people don't have Game Pass. They still just buy their games
Yeah.
normally.
and I think Ubisoft's just out of. I think Ubisoft's been out of the loop of
well, yeah, Ubisoft's been out of touch for over 10 years.
sanity
but
for about a decade.
yeah.
I'm still waiting for the Ubisoft Redemption arc because like EA got one, so I guess I just assumed EA got one, Capcom got one.
Ubisoft,
like,
it's not going to
where's
happen.
It's
Ubisoft's
not going to happen.
Redemption?
I think they're that whole snafu with NFTs was kind of where it fell apart for them.
Ubisoft also culturally, like, it almost doesn't deserve one. Like, Ubisoft was born of like tax subsidy and tax credit stuff in Canada, like at Ubisoft Montreal. Like that's where a lot of bigger Ubisoft stuff came from, and it was born out of subsidy, not out of merit in a lot of ways. Like I don't think Ubisoft redeems itself. I just don't think they have it.
No, they were cooking for a brief period of time.
Oh yeah, the first like 3 Assassin's
I think they've been
Creeds.
bad now for longer than they've been good.
Yeah, it's wild how Ubisoft has kept a budget going by releasing what is basically the same game with a different coat of paint.
Well, Assassin's
for
Creed
almost
is,
a decade.
for all intents and purposes, their Call of Duty. Like it sells massive numbers.
Far Cry
like,
as well.
Assassin's Creed is their linchpin. Like
also-
without Assassin's Creed, that company would not really exist.
So I want to say something to Ubisoft if they think I'm going to pay them a monthly subscription service consistently. I, like a year or two ago, around when Valhalla came out, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I got a month of Ubisoft Plus because I wanted to try Watch Dogs Legion, which was not very good, and I wanted to try Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That was a couple years ago, granted, but Ubisoft has cloud saves. So I was like, maybe I'll pick it up again later. They just added Assassin's Creed Valhalla to Game Pass, and you have to download Ubisoft's stupid app to play it. My save's just gone. It's not anywhere on my computer. When I uninstalled the game, it deleted my save, which most games don't do that. Most games leave the save behind, which whether or not that's good is debatable. But my save is completely gone. It's not in the cloud. And you think I'm going to pay you monthly instead of buying a game on Steam? You're delusional. Steam is just a better, and this is me. I've defended the Epic Game Store and stuff in the past, but this is me saying like, no, actually, play ball. Like you are not good enough at this. You are not a storefront developer. You're barely a decent video game developer. Just put the games on Steam.
Just put them on Steam. I honestly am kind of tired of AAA companies trying to push their own launcher on top of Steam, and it's annoying.
Credit to Xbox first party and Xbox Studios, because all of their games come to Steam as well as Windows Store and Game Pass.
And they know that people that are going to play them on Windows Store and Game Pass are going to use their inbuilt thing. Game Pass offers its own store.
Do you know why?
Servers.
It's because for all of Xbox's faults, they have learned to read the room.
Yeah.
And clearly Ubisoft has not.
They also, like, to their credit, and this is the same reason we just recorded a VR episode. I don't know what order these are coming out, but this is the same reason
VR's first.
Meta makes some of their decisions, like allowing the Steam Link app in their ecosystem and everything. It's because they're not in a leading position. They need, like, Xbox needs Steam still.
Yeah,
like, they are
need
not
that
in a
goodwill.
position to say no. So... And neither is
it works
Ubisoft,
out.
frankly, I don't think. But
And it gives consumer goodwill because the consumer will see, hey, they release their game on every platform. Therefore, like, I can buy it on whatever platform suits me. If I have Game Pass, I can get it on the store. If I don't have Game Pass, I can buy it on Steam.
And buying a PC game on Steam is just an objectively better experience
It is
than any other
absolutely.
storefront. Yeah.
Such a good experience.
And until you can... I wouldn't even say until you can deliver an equal experience, because it is such a bad experience to have games on multiple storefronts, like where you have to go through menus and everything. Xbox still, to this day, does not have a controller-focused user interface on PC, despite most of Game Pass being games I would play with a controller, or at least most of the games I play on it. There's no way for me to launch them without a keyboard and mouse. And there's no easy way to add them to Steam either. Like, what?
Like,
Why?
what I love about Steam as a platform is how mature it is and how well it handles everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Not
that's what Epic doesn't have, is that Epic doesn't have
I was going to say the closest analog that maybe is justified in existing is the Epic Store, because they actually have grown to a point where they can maybe justify their existence. But personally speaking, I've never even downloaded the Epic Store.
And
I
All my
only use
PC
the
stuff
Epic
is through
Store
Steam.
for Epic exclusives and
free
their free games. That's it.
To Epic's credit, it is not that hard. In fact, it is an easily automated process to add all of your Epic games to Steam so that they show up in big picture mode or in your Steam library. That makes me care less. You can't do that with Game Pass. I
was
don't know.
going to say, even Epic had the sense to have that integration.
Yeah, well,
I
no,
think-
somebody else made it, but they just didn't get in the way. And,
Oh, okay. I
and
see.
Microsoft insists on getting in the way. with like UWP
Ubisoft, yeah.
file stuff. It's just silly, and it gets in the way of mod support. It gets in the way of all kinds of things. Like you cannot
Like
the way Xbox released what Starfield, their big you can't run Starfield script extender if you play it on Game Pass. You'd have to buy it on Steam.
UWP has lockdown similar to a console.
Yeah, it's very silly.
And the thing I always say, I think 2020 this 2024, whatever year it is, I forgot.
2024.
2024. I think 2024 is finally the year that like emulation and people finally kind of get the message that like piracy is not a bad thing if people refuse to sell you the object, because Nintendo is straight up removing games and has no plans of adding them ever back to a store.
Well, Nintendo will never get that. I think the more American flavored companies might like on paper be cool with that.
Because
but, like no
Gabe
one's ever going to come out
best.
explicitly and say that you can do that, right?
Yeah. Gabe Newell said it best. Piracy isn't a pricing problem. It's a service problem.
It is, yeah.
I'm not going to pirate something if I can easily get it on a marketplace that's accessible to me.
Yeah.
Like, I like say I want to play a Pokemon game. It's either I spend like one of the older Pokemon games that I don't own already on Game Boy.
Yeah, they're in the hundreds.
They're hundreds of dollars, and Nintendo gets none of that money. So I might as well just go download a ROM for it, because either way, Nintendo is not getting paid.
Yeah.
Because they refuse to take my money.
I don't think I'll be committing piracy because of it, because I just don't care about Ubisoft games that much unless they release another Rayman. But
yeah, I'm not going to commit piracy because of Ubisoft. But
I wouldn't look down on anybody for pirating Ubisoft games, because I've seen this quote going around, and I do agree with it. If buying is not ownership, piracy is not stealing.
Yeah, I think that's totally
the
fair.
way I see it, like, I think this might be the year that like piracy, people stop getting icky about it and start considering it like,
well, the only reason people stopped doing piracy was because of Steam and because of Netflix.
Steam fixed piracy.
Yeah, and Netflix and Spotify, like those were the platforms that cured piracy in whatever sense. Because piracy was rampant in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And now Netflix, and now streaming piracy is back up because none of those services are good anymore. You have to pay hundreds of dollars to watch 3 different shows. And it's just not good. Like when you diversify an ecosystem to acquire like software or whatever you need, people are gonna resort back to downloading illegal torrents again, like they did in the old days, because that's the easiest way to get a hold of that. And I don't think a lot of companies understand that like marketplace aggregation is a good idea. As much as it sounds counterintuitive.
A lot of what we're talking about is kind of leading into my next big point. I did want to cover the games as a service thing, because I do think we're hitting maybe an inflection point there where people realize that like, hey, maybe this isn't the best thing to be dumping all of our resources into. But what you just said, Mike, kind of dovetails into my next topic, consolidation, right? Like the Activision Blizzard deal went through last year, and that is a massive green flag to everyone that this sort of thing is okay.
Yeah.
So it would not surprise me if we see Ubisoft gobbled up or EA gobbled up next.
Ubisoft has already almost been gobbled up before.
Yeah, there was when we were in college, there was a hostile takeover.
Vendy?
Oh yeah, I remember talking. We made an episode on that too.
Yeah, we did. I didn't really understand it at the time. I think we had Jordan on there.
Yeah, I don't think I was there for that episode.
Jordan.
Rest in peace, Jordan.
Rest in peace. He's fine.
he's not dead. Don't worry. He's alive. He's just busy, I think.
Well, he's welcome on the show anytime, by the way.
But I haven't talked to him since college.
But I do think
let's bring him on.
No, I love his hot takes.
I want him to give us his hot takes.
But yeah, what do we think is going to happen here, right? Like, because I don't think we will see another huge move from Microsoft in maybe like a couple years, because they just, like, the Activision deal was like red hot. It had so much legal action on it. Like, everyone was watching it. I don't think they want to get scrutinized like that again, at least for a little bit. But I could totally see Sony buying something in response to the Activision Blizzard deal. Like, I could see Sony trying to buy EA, for example. Like, what do you all think?
I think,
like,
EA
am I crazy here? Like,
I don't know that Sony could afford EA.
I don't think Sony could afford EA.
Sony could afford EA.
You think so?
They have. I mean, they have the ability to do it. Like not. Just
I mean, I
through
don't
pure
think it would be a
cash.
good choice. I don't.
Yeah.
think
I don't think it would be either. But like, I do think, especially from those leaked Sony documents we discussed a few weeks ago, that they do feel the need to do something after Microsoft purchased Activision.
I think Square Enix is going to be in a very weak position in the near future because of their NFT investments, and I think they might get gobbled up.
Well, I was going to say, by the way, Sony is not the only player here. Like, we could easily see someone like Apple or Netflix gobble up a publisher, even. I mean, these companies are big enough to do that.
I don't think Apple cares enough about the gaming space to gobble up
I think
a publisher.
they're starting to care.
I think they are too. The iPhone 15 is gaming capable in a pretty big way.
And their Apple Arcade is actually quite good.
It is a good service.
Like-
I don't see them buying a studio though, because again, I think they're pretty happy to make a good platform that has nobody's buying an iPhone for the exclusives. Like iPhone,
Yeah.
I just don't think it
Apple-
needs it.
Apple having a very comfortable lead in like software,
Well, that's only in the US,
Or
to be
in-
clear.
and not even in software and hardware is
Yeah.
it's fine. Like they make so much money through like high grade hardware and everything that
I would look out for Meta picking up.
yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
Meta
absolutely.
might pick up studios, but I don't
And
think Apple's
So here's
in
why
it.
I think my prediction is that EA is going to be the next one, because I think EA is tantalizing to a lot of people because of their similarities to Call of Duty, in that they have an annualized sports franchise, Madden,
Yeah.
and others that rake in just tons of cash.
with a
Battlefield
like an
hostile
also,
audience
like,
too.
After Call of Duty, Madden is the next most popular game in the US. Like,
Battlefield
people
is
buy
also
this game.
a compelling
year.
Like if we don't have Call of Duty anymore, we have Battlefield. You know I mean, they're better games, frankly. Not always, but usually.
Yeah, but like people aren't going to think that way, as demonstrated by
I
re-
think if you
the
turn
response to Modern Warfare 3.
if you turn it into a console war narrative, I think they might.
No, that's the thing. I think whoever eats EA, if it happens, will release Madden and the sports titles on every platform. They just rake in the profits.
They'd have to
Like
because
those are going to
like,
stay multi-platform for sure.
you'd lose so much money if you didn't because
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
people
it's
who
another
are-
Call of Duty,
yeah.
basically. Like those games are going to exist everywhere. It's just that someone wants
I guess
all
those
of
are
that
live
pie.
services now too, and they kind of work.
Yeah.
as that. They're not shooters. Yeah, I think we will see. I don't think we'll see another acquisition in the next year. I do think we will see one. I think we'll see the gears start to turn, because keep in mind the Activision Blizzard acquisition took
years.
it took forever. So the fact that we don't even know about it yet means it's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
I mean,
this year.
I for sure could see an announcement this year that like X company is purchasing Y company, and X could be anyone from Apple, Google,
X.com is
Meta,
going to buy somebody. I guarantee you.
Sony. I could see any of these people try to gobble up like a really well-known publisher. And like that's just speaking of the big like acquisitions. I could totally see smaller ones happen too. Like you said, Square Enix. I really do feel like Square Enix is up for grabs.
Yeah,
And I don't like any of this, by the way, but
no.
it's the reality we live in, so we have to talk about it.
No, especially this is a weird thing to say because I don't want to sound like I'm in favor of the Activision Blizzard one, but at least when Xbox buys a studio, it means I'm going to get the games for free on Game Pass. Anyone
Yeah.
else buying a studio isn't like there are no upsides for anyone.
Yeah, I suppose that's exactly why they did it,
Yeah.
right? Like for people who have Game Pass like you to be like, hey, this is a good thing. I get more games.
It's not a good thing though. It is a silver lining to a pretty dark cloud.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
how many games
So-
do they make that I actually want to play? Not very many.
I mean, just looking at like the purchases, like because we've covered so many acquisitions on this show.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys have any inkling or thoughts as to what might be next?
Like I
Square
said, I
getting
think
bought up.
Yeah, Square Enix is in a very weak position right now, other than Final Fantasy coming. They have just really hurt themselves. I mean, Avengers that was them, right? Avengers was Square Enix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Square.
Huge.
They've sold off a lot of their first party developers as well.
Yeah, they're just not in
They
a good
used to be
position.
behind. Were they behind Tomb Raider as well? And they spun
Yeah.
that off.
They sold it to Embracer.
Can I tell you one I would actually like to see is someone buying Konami would actually. I would not have any problem with that.
Yeah, Konami. Konami. I don't know what.
Or
they're
at least
doing, man.
buying
Like,
Konami's IP. I actually don't care if they buy Konami.
Yeah, we've been like. I feel like that idea has been discussed to death over the course of many years, but I don't think Konami's willing to do that.
I don't think anyone wants Konami, honestly.
Give me
Are you?
one.
Well, people
more
want their
good-
IP for sure, dude. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me? Like Metal Gear, Mega Man,
Castlevania is bigger than it's
Castlevania?
ever been because of the Netflix show too, and they don't have anything to cash in on it.
In terms of
Yeah.
IP, Konami is sitting on a gold mine. Like they have such good IP
Yeah,
that they're really not doing anything with.
I'd do anything for a new Castlevania. Like I love those games.
No Castlevania, Metal Gear. I guess we're getting the Metal Gear 3 remake, but no new games.
Yeah,
Are they making a new Mega Man? When's the last time a new Mega Man game came
that's
out?
not Konami.
That's
Capcom.
Capcom, yeah.
And it
Oh,
was,
wow.
It wasn't that
Yeah.
long ago.
Oops.
Mega Man 11
I messed
was
that up.
on the Switch, so it wasn't that long ago.
I totally confused Konami and Capcom.
It happens. No, I'll give you that. Mega Man and Castlevania go together like I don't know, peanut butter and jelly. They're like
They do.
they're good. They're not similar games really, but they are both action platformers.
And then we do have that Silent Hill 2 remake coming out by
But
Bloober
that's
Team,
Bloober
but no one
Team,
really
though.
trusts Bloober Team to execute on
Ugh.
that game, so
We'll see what happens.
we'll see what happens, I
I
guess.
We'll see if they
honestly
keep the
think-
fog.
I think Bloober Team's the worst dev. One of the worst horror devs.
I don't know anything about them.
In my experience, they released Layers of Fear and Layers of Fear.
Oh yeah, those were two different games,
Yeah.
hilariously.
And they were kind of mid.
Do we want to turn around and try to do some more like positive predictions for 2024?
Yeah, sure.
I
so
think
one
it's the
thing
year
that
of like game genres that we thought were dead coming back because
You know what? I don't know if that's. I
not
agree.
that we
like,
thought we're dead, but I do feel like 2024 is absolutely the year of the JRPG. There's so many good JRPGs coming out, like very imminently.
It's also like Sega's bringing back all those old IPs. I don't know if those are coming this year, but I think they are.
All of them, you think?
Some of them.
I think it
I don't know about all
might
of
be
them.
the year that like Sega finally or like Japanese companies finally like come back in a big way.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, another
well,
Jet Set
I don't know,
is
but
gonna.
like Japanese companies have always. I don't think they've ever had to come
and
back.
Capcom's not
like,
hurting. They're Japanese.
Yeah.
They did have to come back. Capcom was in a bad way for a while, but
Capcom wasn't a bad
Japan
way,
in
but
general
like, I mean,
wasn't.
Nintendo has always been a presence,
Yeah,
but well, I guess speaking of Nintendo, right?
the Switch
There's-
2, probably.
Switch 2 is likely going to be this year. Like, obviously, we don't
Maybe.
have any concrete evidence yet, but like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of smoke.
I joke about being a doubter because I think it's like I will not be surprised if the Switch 2 comes out this year. I also will not be surprised if it does not, you know?
Yeah. Nintendo is shown to zag when everyone expects them to zig. And in that vein, right, like, because we all expect, and by we, I mean, I guess the general industry expects the Nintendo Switch 2 to be an iterative console.
Yeah.
That tells me almost assuredly it's going to have some twist on it.
Yeah.
Like, it has to. Like, some Nintendoism that no one saw coming. Like, maybe they do 2 screens again for, like, the DS or something.
I can't help but wonder if they revisit VR. I mean, it's a hot industry right now, and they dabbled with it in the Switch. I think I've said that before, and you guys laughed me out of the room on it, but I think it's less
I mean, it could
unlikely now
happen.
than it was when I said
And
it
if
last
anyone
time.
has, like, if I don't know, man, like,
Nintendo
if
has a
anyone
history
can
of
make
coming back to stuff.
VR mainstream, I guess it's Nintendo, but having that be a core feature of their console, that is kind of crazy to me.
It would be. But it also, like, the thing about VR that's so weird is, like, you can just play a Mario game in VR. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It you know, you don't have to utilize all the fancy VR stuff. Like, it is nice to just be in an immersive world instead of looking at a screen. I just don't think that's the route Nintendo's going to take. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to go down. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but
I
you know,
mean,
they zig
I guess
and
we can
zag.
just recap some of the stuff that is almost assuredly confirmed. It is using some proprietary NVIDIA tech for its graphics. Like the console is said to support DLSS, which is really exciting for a Nintendo console, which would make it competitive in many ways with its counterparts, PS5 and Xbox Series.
Rumors are like it's PS4 level power. So like
with DLSS.
Is that before DLSS or after? Like
I would assume
before. Like I figure it's at least as
before.
Powerful as the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck is roughly a PS4.
Yeah.
So,
I could see that being the case.
So a Steam Deck that has, has DLSS is a compelling thing,
The and the console is said to support 120 hertz, which is awesome.
That's great. I didn't know that. That'd be huge. Well,
but no
but
OLED
zero
screen,
games are going to
which is not awesome. The no OLED screen is a step down from
huge step down.
The Switch, which sucks. I guess they had to cut costs somewhere. And there's also a rumored price point floating around. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
No.
$400. How do you feel about that?
Steep for what it is. Very steep. That's like
I mean,
Steam
again,
Deck
it's
territory.
A rumor, but
and a Steam Deck is still going to be. It's not going to be I could see a Switch 2 being more powerful than a Steam Deck, but it's not as compelling to me outside of the exclusive games.
I really think people will eat it up even at $400. Like Nintendo customers are used to paying
$400 and no OLED is
full price.
Crazy though.
Yeah, no OLED, but there's got to be a secret X factor.
Yeah, there does.
It just depends on what that is.
I can tell you, this is like my prediction for the year. If the Nintendo Switch comes out this year, there will also be a Pokemon game announced that is coming to not the Switch 2, and it'll be really uncomfortably releasing on previous gen, and they'll do that for the next year or two because Game Freak refuses. Yeah. They did that for the 3DS. They released Pokemon games on the DS. They did it on the Switch. They kept releasing Pokemon games on the 3DS.
There's one thing we're taking right now as a given, which really isn't a given. Backwards compatibility.
Yeah, it's not
right?
not a given. Like Nintendo's
it's not
typically,
a given, which sucks.
Nintendo's been very good about backwards compatibility.
If this thing is not backwards compatible with the Switch,
huge miss.
That is the most insane business decision I've ever seen.
Because it would,
how?
My Switch
especially
will go in a drawer.
Especially in the age of I don't know, man. Like post PS4, Xbox One era, everyone's got their digital libraries. I don't know if anyone has the balls to renege on backwards compatibility going forward. But if anyone would do it,
it's Nintendo.
It's Nintendo.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Capcom recently has been retroactively adding DLC or DRM to 11-year-old games.
They undid most of that after the backlash, but yeah, they did do that.
I guess it's against. I think it was because they're mad at mods. And that's
Japanese companies don't like mods.
But the Switch 2, I suspect it will be backwards compatible. But I don't expect it to give any performance boost to a Switch game.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, there's no way that's happening. But at the very least, backwards compatibility, because at the end of the day, Nintendo has at least shown that they're willing to go one generation back for backwards compat.
I mean, they have gone. I mean, look at the Nintendo DS. It played Game Boy Advance. Did it play Game Boy Color games? I don't remember.
It did not. I remember.
Okay, it definitely could. I remember.
I think maybe the original DS would have. I don't know. I would have to double check that. But
I know that they all
Nintendo does have a history of like one gen back. Like Switch played GameCube games, Wii U played Wii games, etc.
Yeah, the Wii U didn't play GameCube, did it? That was weird. Even though it played Wii.
Yeah, Wii U played Wii, but not GameCube.
Also, fun fact about the Wii U: it was like a separate disc reader to play Wii games, and it was a huge failure point. The Wii disc reader would fail, and you could still play Wii U games, but the Wii games wouldn't read.
That's unbelievable.
That was
extremely there were two
common.
Disc readers in there,
something like that. Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, it was the same motor and everything, but I think the laser was different. And because I saw it happen to a few people, they would buy Wii games for their kids and not be able to play them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nintendo Switch 2, I'm pretty confident it's happening this year.
So
now
what launch titles are you thinking? Definitely Mario.
Yeah.
I think there will be a Mario.
Yeah, it is time for a 3D Mario, for sure.
And Metroid Prime 4, I think.
Metroid Prime 4.
If not
every time
at
we hear about
launch,
that game, it's just like, oh, Like, I don't know. I think the last time we heard about it, it got like rebooted entirely, which is not a good sign.
That was a few years ago, though.
That was a few years ago. Yeah. Yeah, I could see Metroid Prime 4 being a launch title. Like, the Switch had a pretty legendary launch lineup, right? Was it?
No.
It was Breath of the Wild.
It was just Breath of the Wild. It was Breath of the Wild and like 1-2 Switch.
Oh,
Yeah, there wasn't much
Mario
for
Odyssey
it.
came later that year.
Mario
I forgot.
Odyssey came in October. The Switch launched in March. Yeah,
So,
no,
yeah, there
the
has
Switch
to be
launch was terrible.
at least one big first party game, and it's probably going to be Mario.
Yeah, I think it'll be Mario. Sleeper. It wouldn't shock me if a new Animal Crossing comes. Like,
I was
early.
just about to bring that up. Yeah, like because after how successful New Horizons was, I bet you my bottom dollar they got to work right away on a sequel.
On a sequel. Yeah, for
and they
sure.
were like, because Animal Crossing traditionally had a very sparse release cycle. I'm almost positive that's no longer the case.
If any game could work as a live service game, it's Animal Crossing.
Oh, for sure, it's made for that.
I would be happier if they did that than what they did for New Horizons, frankly.
Yeah, so Animal Crossing, Mario, potential. Oh, Mario Kart 9.
I don't see that as a launch title.
Really?
Mario Kart 8's still selling.
It's still selling, but like at some point you got to make Mario Kart 9.
I know, but how?
How? I don't know.
What a
I think
horrific task.
Mario Kart's probably in the same space as Smash is now, where there's nowhere else to go. So you have to make some pretty drastic changes to the formula.
Yeah.
Because there's no way the next Smash could, like, if you just try to go bigger and better, like, you can't go bigger and better than Ultimate.
You could go Smash Kart. Like, Smash Kart for Mario Kart 9, I don't think there's anywhere else you could go.
Yeah.
So I see that.
Or they could introduce a new, like, fun core mechanic like they did with Double Dash. I just don't know what that would be.
Yeah. I mean, there's no guessing at that. Would just... Yeah, it's a frivolous task. I could see another Pikmin coming in the near future.
Really?
Because
Pikmin 4 was pretty recent, though.
Pikmin 4 did well, though, and that's what... Pikmin 2 came right after Pikmin 1. It was like a year
Like
or
a
two.
1 year, though?
Yeah. It was like a year or two. I don't think it'll be... Yeah, I don't think Pikmin 5 will be this year, but I could see it coming early, Switch 2.
And, wow, when did Smash Ultimate come out?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
2018?
December
It's been
2018.
6 years since Ultimate.
Yeah, and Melee was a launch window title for the GameCube. It's not unprecedented.
It's time for the Smash hype machine to rev back up, I think.
Sakurai,
like, if not this year, I feel like we're closer to the release of the next Smash than we think we are.
Sakurai also hinted that he is not done on his YouTube channel at some point this year or last year in 2023.
Dude, like, he'll never be done. Like, that's just the Japanese, like, work mentality.
Do you guys know the story on was it Wii U or Brawl? I forget which one, but they announced it before telling Sakurai. He saw the announcement, and Iwata like sat down with him, and he said to Iwata, like, so what happens if I say no and don't want to develop this game? And Iwata says, then we probably don't make a very good Smash Bros. Game.
That's crazy. Wow.
The stones on those guys. Like, can you imagine being in that room? Like, just the aura coming off of those two people.
They're so threatening.
Like JoJo Stan level.
Yeah,
auras.
I think like the Nintendo executives are probably the most terrifying people because they'll make a game. They don't care. They'll make the game.
Yeah, they will. They are not ashamed to put out Star Fox Assault. Like,
Miyamoto is not afraid to fly all the way to America, walk into Retro Studios, and tell them their game is garbage,
and then they have to start over.
They have to do it again. They're not afraid. They aren't afraid to say, yeah, that's not a good game.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they keep releasing quality games, because they're not afraid to scrap it and start over.
So, Silk Song launch window for the Switch 2.
Silk Song. Something's off with that game, man. I'm telling you. Something ain't right?
What if Nintendo... I'm stealing this bit wholesale from the besties, by the way. I was just listening to their predictions. But what if Nintendo approached Team Cherry and said, launch window for Silk Song? You know?
I mean, that would be huge for me. Like, that would instantly become my most desired launch game.
I don't know.
for that console.
Yeah, it would be. It'd probably also be my game of the year. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Silk Song.
yeah, there's no telling.
I mean,
think
Xbox
remember-
confirmed multiple times for sure it was coming in 2023.
It's
and
coming this
Yeah.
year. don't
2024
worry.
now,
It was coming
so-
last year. It was supposed to
Yep.
come out at Game Test last year.
You missed it. It was. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's to divert a little bit. I think 2024 might be the year of sleeper hits. Like I strongly suspect, or not even sleeper hits, but I strongly suspect that my game of the year 2024, I have not heard the title of it yet.
Yeah,
I-
I could see that happening.
I think it's going to be something I don't even like, just something that comes out of nowhere for me that I haven't heard anything about.
Like
Yeah, I
another
mean, like
Baldur's
I
Gate
know
situation.
of, like I mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of really big profile JRPGs coming out, like Persona 3, Yakuza,
That's like in a few days, right? Persona
Final
3?
Fantasy, Dragon's Dogma,
Wait, what Final Fantasy 7.
7 Rebirth. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think my game of the year will probably be something that I have not even heard of yet.
Yeah,
My most anticipated game as of right now is Persona 3 because
that's real soon.
a brand
too.
new Persona game for me. Yeah, I've got it like pre-ordered. Like I'm so excited
It's
for that
coming
game.
to Game Pass, so I'm probably going to preload it tonight.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I another
What's coming
thing
to Game
about that.
Pass? Pal World?
Oh,
Persona 3?
Pal World is also coming. That's
That comes out this Friday. I'll talk about that next episode when I play it because I'm buying it on the release.
I'm playing it for sure too. But I suspect that this is like, I feel like 2022 Elden Ring was the game of the year. 2023 Baldur's Gate was the game of the year. I don't think there's going to be a consensus this year. I think we're going to go back to kind of the norm where it is actually like a hotly contested.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like I think it makes more
the three of us are going
for
to have
more
separate
interesting
ones.
discussion.
Yeah,
I
and I
do
like
think
that
it's-
more. Yeah,
I do think it is very interesting that that like recently in the last like 4 or 5 years since they've upped the price of games, $70 games just don't win it anymore.
did they not?
They haven't.
Oh,
No,
game of the
last
year.
4 game
I
of the
suppose
years.
that's true.
Last
Yeah.
4 have been under $70 at launch,
Yeah, that's true.
which and like if they're trying
I
to
really
make
don't know if it. I don't know if there's a correlation though.
I don't think there
There.
is. But
I don't
to
think
be
there
honest.
is, but I think it is weird that they said that $70 is the new mark of quality, and the best games of the year have not been $70.
That
at
was a
launch.
really dumb statement. Whoever said
Yeah.
that, like $70 is not a mark of quality by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
It's just a mark of increasing costs.
Yeah,
it
and
is interesting though that they have.
and
one
like
game of
you'd
the year.
think, yeah, you'd think about it like the $70 would produce more quality because you're paying more for the game, but it really doesn't work that way. Budgets are just blossoming, and executives are getting paid 3 times they used to get paid.
No, I mean I've gotten more fun out of a $25 game than I have a $70 game plenty of times.
Yeah,
Like,
I've gotten more fun out of Vampire Survivors than I have out of most games I've played in the last like decade.
that's fair, but
That's fair.
And it's
Yeah.
$5. Like,
So, do you guys have any like?
I have one more Doomer thing.
Okay, let's
I'm-
do
I'm
your
sorry,
Doomer thing,
like,
and then we'll
it-
go
it-
back to
It
positivity.
is funny. Like you mentioned the positivity thing. I didn't even think of it when I was, when I was
we
planning
doomed
this
for
episode.
about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Just inherently, most of the things I'm predicting are Doomer things.
See,
But I
I'm like
guess,
the opposite
you know.
this year. I have high hopes for 2024.
I have high hopes too, but like, do you not see the topics I
No, I
brought
don't
up?
think they're
Like,
non-existent, but I just
for
don't-
sure like going to come to pass. We're going to see more consolidation. We're going to see. I think we're going to see some sort of reckoning for games as a service as well.
I don't see that as a negative. I'm ready to see that go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't see that as a negative, but
Yeah.
like people are going to lose their jobs over that.
Yeah, that is
For sure.
upsetting. Yeah.
But yeah, one other thing I wanted to bring up is AI, because AI has seen a huge explosion in the tech space over the course of last year, continuing on into this year. And we're going to see it impact games and the games industry in some way, shape, or form. We're already seeing AI, and obviously AI has been around in video games for forever, but like I'm talking about like the new sort of generative AI that can create content. We're already seeing video games like the finals that use AI voiceover, and certain video games use AI art. And I could easily see AI replacing a lot of like games journalist jobs. So I just wanted to float the topic of AI and see what you guys thought.
AI is a much more complicated topic than a lot of people want to act like it is. A lot of people want to just say that AI is this villain, like that we're inherently supposed to be super against. And I think that is what a lot of it, that is a lot of what we see.
AI is a tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
AI, like the MetaQuest 3, for all of its hardware miracles, a lot of that's AI powered. Like its ability to 3D scan your room accurately and do mixed reality, there's AI powering that. But also, even beyond that, nobody gets mad at a game that uses procedural generation for not hiring level designers because it uses procedural generation. And I think that argument adds a lot of nuance to this discussion, you know?
Yeah,
but also
I think the
generation.
concern is here using AI to do something that is currently done by a human quite well.
Yes.
And sort of replacing it with a shoddier but much cheaper version of what it was doing.
The AI strengths are in something a human could have never done.
See,
and I am for using it there.
Recently, one of the biggest games of the year, the finals, used AI for their announcers.
Yeah.
But they did hire voice actors, had them record lines, and they trained an AI from their voice actors' lines.
So what did they do with that, though?
I think the AI is what is used in game, but they used voice actor data to train the AI.
Because like the idea of an AI voice that like can comment on what you're doing in game is fascinating.
Yeah,
but
I think that's what they did, and it's also so that when say they update the game, they don't have to like bring back in voice actors.
See, I don't know that I like that part, but like,
let me see what they did because I haven't played the finals.
Yeah, me neither. But like the idea of getting a play-by-play in a detail that would be impossible to pre-record is like a use case that I don't know that I would be mad about AI using it to just do canned like kill announcements and stuff. Absolutely not. That's
I think
ridiculous.
The idea of AI and voice actors brings up another amazing point in that, like, what's stopping companies from just taking Troy Baker's voice, from taking Laura Bailey's voice, these people who have voiced video game characters for like a decade plus now, and just keeping that forever, you know, like
because it sounds terrible. I mean,
we could be hearing, I mean, it's not going to sound terrible forever.
I do not believe AI is ever going to be able to capture like the warmth of a real vocal performance. Like anybody who's paying attention is always going to be able to tell the difference. I disagree. I think eventually, at some point, we'll have AI that absolutely can. I think there's always going to have to be somebody giving the performance on some level because you can't. How do you tell an AI what emotion to deliver a voice line with? It's like
you just type it into your little prompt.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. Like.
Okay, Cyberpunk 2077 in their new DLC used AI voice to voice a character whose actor had died, but they got consent. Well, they got the consent of the actor's surviving family. They hired a voice actor to provide the new lines, and then they got the consent from the family of the dead actor to do it as like, so they didn't have to get rid of the original performance to match the DLC.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was purely because they didn't want to replace the actor.
Yeah.
In their original game, and it would be jarring if you suddenly changed voices in a DLC.
Did you guys see the SAG-AFTRA deal?
I didn't read it, no.
So there was a deal that was struck between an AI firm called Replica Studios and SAG-AFTRA that allowed the studio to use AI-generated voices in games. And a lot of people are fearful that that will exclude newer talent because already established voice actors that already have lots of, I guess, data, they can just pull their voices, pay them royalties, and then that's that.
But no one can sit down and write a prompt that gets me the performances from The Last of Us. Like, it's impossible.
Not yet.
No,
not yet.
Ever. Like, you cannot just type out in words what you want out and get that. It's impossible.
I don't know, man. We're at the...
There's just no world in which...
We're at the start of a very big boom, I think.
I don't think... I think the technology to create those sounds is going to exist, but there's just no way to write a prompt that is going to result in that. you just can't finely control it enough the way you can with the relationship between a director and an actor. It's a ridiculous premise to me.
I want you to be right very badly. I want you to be right, but I do disagree. I think we'll get there.
I just can't even imagine
quicker than we think.
Is that prompt 50 pages long? Like
it could be.
Okay, but
And
at that
the
point
AI
it's
will
more
read it in,
expensive to
3 seconds.
Yeah, but the prompt isn't written in 3 seconds. To write a 50-page paper is more expensive than to get a voice actor in to record a line. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
it doesn't make sense. I don't think it's ever going to be able to capture the same thing as the same warmth of a human performance.
I sure hope you're right. But yeah, aside from voice acting, using it as a tool in video games, I think is actually kind of cool. What's not so cool is just using it to have like canned art and stuff.
Yeah, that's
like you have very talented artists that could make art hundreds of times better. At least at this point,
yeah.
You should definitely be using them.
Even once, I'm not going to buy a game that has AI art in it. That's kind of crazy. It doesn't look good. Like even once it does look good technically, it doesn't look good. It has no warmth. It has no heart. There's no creativity in it.
Yeah.
It just, that's something it'll never be able to overcome because the people that want AI there's no creativity there. They're not, they don't understand it.
They don't
they are
understand art because all they understand is throwing letters into an
I just
AI.
hope we don't get to reach a point in the next 10 years or something where a major studio fires all their artists and just hires prompt engineers. That would be very sad to see.
I don't think we're going to get there. I think it's going to be like artists are going to use AI to do like the busy work. Like studios are going to use AI to do like the busy work that they'd hire like a bunch of poorly paid interns to do anyway. Like outlining art or whatever, where they could just have an AI automatically add outlines to an existing art piece.
Yeah, I could also see. Yeah,
like cut costs in a way that doesn't hurt artists. It just
AI
reduces the amount of bloat in your staffing department.
AI art for like prototyping art direction is a really good use of AI art as a tool, I think.
Yeah,
I disagree because I mean you're replacing people. You're replacing artists with that. Like,
artists are going to work on the actual art for the game, but I'm talking about just prototyping when you're trying to find a vision for a game.
Concept art,
as an example.
Concept art is an important job, though. Like, concept artists are an important part of the industry that bring a lot to the table, and replacing them with a guy who doesn't understand art writing a prompt is going to ruin it.
I think AI does have a place
I didn't
for
realize
productivity.
There were strictly concept artists. I figured there were artists that were just
there are people
for the whole
that
project.
Are just there are people who just do concept art. That don't model, that's
okay. Yeah, that's fair then. Then I retract that.
No, it really the only places that I think AI is useful is in bulk generate, like in our Infinite games, like our No Man's Skies and stuff. An AI generated quest instead of a procedurally generated quest is something I could stomach because I think an AI is going to do a better job than a canned proc gen, like mix up a couple variables kind of thing. But I don't think we're there yet. not even close.
I think the other thing that AI would be useful for is generative conquests in like Bethesda games,
That's what I was kind of thinking of, like Starfield.
You'd bring in voice actors, they'd voice the bulk of the main quest characters, and then there'd be a bit of their contract where, hey, we can use your AI for generative reactive content, so we don't have to keep you in the studio for 3 years to record 4 billion lines of dialogue.
But you guys have seen AI's also like on the edge of a bursting bubble as well, right? Like it's hitting the courts now, and they're saying, we could not have created this without plagiarism, so give us a pass. Yeah. And no, plagiarism's plagiarism. I
think what's crazy is I really do like AI and the concept of modding at the current moment, where like you could add dialogue to a character in a game and not have to worry about like hiring the same voice actor to do it.
Yeah, a part of me agrees, but part of me is like, you can find somebody who does decent impressions on Fiverr. Like,
Yeah, but some modders don't have access to that amount of money.
To Fiverr?
Yeah. It's like
I
some modders don't want to pay for something that they're not going to make any money off of.
I just don't think you should replace a job that a human is going to do with an AI. It's unethical. And those you were training an AI, you were doing plagiarism. You were training an AI without consent using someone else's work. That is plagiarism. And that's how all of it works right now. The ones that are saying that's not how it works are lying to you. Like, some people are training an AI with an internal data set, but the way those models are developed is using plagiarized material. All of OpenAI is plagiarism. Every single thing that it's touched. There's no
I guess
moral justification.
you're right, but like what I'm saying is I do think they'll get away with it. I don't think the courts will fight this back.
I don't know. I mean, it's happening right now. We'll see. It could go either way. I agree, but I'll be very disappointed. I mean, because once we let that happen, why do we have IP law at all? Like, just throw the whole thing out. It's worthless.
Yeah, I mean,
it protects no one.
It's just a whole can of worms, right? Like, that have been opened, and now we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
The copyright laws, the potential loss of jobs, like all of it, it affects every industry, including gaming.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think now is the right time to talk about this, though. Like,
oh yeah,
late 2023 is when this stuff really popped off, and we're going to be dealing with it full force in 2024.
No, I think by 2025 we'll know which way it went. I suspect. I think
this is the year.
Yeah,
this is the pivot year.
These battles will have been fought.
Yeah,
I think there's two ways it could go. Either it becomes integrated into production pipelines, or the alternative is that it becomes like NFTs and disappears,
which is the best case scenario. I think, because the actual justifiable use cases of AI, the ones that are just using machine learning, like the Quest mapping your room, that's not plagiarism.
Yeah.
There's nothing shady going on there, which is why they're distancing themselves in many ways from the word AI and a lot of that stuff, because it's such a bad word in the industry.
I really do think like developers using AI to enhance like player decision is a good thing.
And there has been like notable backlash against anyone who has put out
there has been
AI anything. Like, to the same extent that NFTs got it. So I think there's hope to fight it off.
I think when we actually get like ethical uses of AI, say like Bethesda using it for generative quest lines and reaction to player decisions, it'll be interesting, because like as a developer, you can't keep a voice actor around to record every single possibility, because that's cost prohibitive, and you don't know what players are going to do.
Yeah, I think if we're doing like training a model takes so much data too.
Yeah. So like you could pay the actor for everything they do for the game, and then like, hey, here's the other part of the contract where we're going to train it for reactive decisions.
Yeah, those contracts have to be ironclad to only be in that game, to only, other. Yeah.
There's some ironclad there, but like it would enhance RPGs immensely if every little thing the player do had an NPC comment about it.
Yeah.
But in the current state, that's very cost prohibitive, because that's
only
like
only Baldur's Gate can do it.
Yeah, there's so much dialogue you have to go through.
Yeah.
God bless Larian. Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see a lot of both cases. Some cases of like AI really being used intelligently in a game in places where it makes sense, and a lot of AI being used in a very obnoxious way that really detracts from an experience or hurts the people working on it.
Just a note, have you guys seen the ecological impacts of AI?
God.
I imagine they can't be good because of how many resources those NVIDIA GPUs take
to
run.
One AI image takes the same amount of electricity it takes to charge the average smartphone from 0% to 100%.
Dang.
That's one image. And these images don't come out right the first time. These quote-unquote prompt engineers are often generating like dozens to hundreds of images to try to get the whatever stupid thing they want. So it's a massively wasteful process. Once everything's powered by solar, if that were to happen, I guess we don't care anymore. But that's not the world we live in right now.
Yeah, and it won't be for a while.
Yeah, it's not going to be that way in 2024. I can tell you that. I don't know. I kind of want to pivot away unless you guys have more notes on AI.
Yeah. No, I just think it's an fascinating thing to watch unfold.
Yeah,
and it shall unfold in 2024.
I do. I think it's funny. All the people that think AI is going to replace programmers, I think is funny because if you have been a software engineer in the industry, you know that the one thing, the hardest part of your job is that there is no client in the world that can accurately describe what they want.
Oh, for sure.
So that, at least in that sense, your job is secure.
Yeah.
That's more of a joke than anything else, though. I got a couple of VR predictions. I think we will get at least one traditional AAA series releasing a VR game on Meta's platform. I actually suspect it'll be more than one, but I think...
So you're talking about like Asgard's Wrath 2 level?
No, I'm talking Assassin's Creed Nexus, basically. Another one of those.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, I think that's a reasonable thing to predict.
Maybe we get a Call of Duty, maybe... Because these games... I'm curious what these budgets look like, because the Quest's graphical fidelity is not like a PS5, these games have to run at 90 hertz or 72 hertz. They're still targeting Quest 2 as well. So I actually suspect that once you get over the VR hurdle, the budgets of these games are actually somewhat enticing if there's a user base or Meta funding it.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get at least one more of those. I suspect more. I also think we're going to get an announcement for Valve's next headset. I bet that'll be late this year. But I do think we'll get that, and I think we'll get that'll launch with like either a Half-Life, a Portal, or a Left 4 Dead game. I think if not more than one of those two things, or if not more than one of those franchises.
Half-Life. I can't. I feel like every year for the past 2 decades, someone has predicted Half-Life. So eventually,
they were right in 2020.
It's got to be right. Yeah.
They got it right in 2020. There was a Half-Life Alyx. I actually think it's more likely that it'll be like Left 4 Dead because social VR is so popular right now, and at least among the VR crowd. So what
was the Left 4 Dead kind of knockoff that came out and wasn't that good?
Arizona
Back
Sunshine,
for Blood.
Maybe? Oh, you mean on flat screen? Yeah, Back for Blood on flat screen.
Back for Blood.
Yeah,
I heard it was. I
was gonna say Arizona Sunshine. I think was actually really good, and it was like a zombie killing game in VR.
Yeah, it's kind of dated now, though.
Oh, I've played Arizona Sunshine. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
There's a second one. There's Arizona Sunshine too. I have not played either of them.
I heard the original Arizona Sunshine just isn't it, but that's because it's ancient.
It's just a little bite-sized thing.
It's VR.
It's like how a lot of VR games are.
The first one was early VR too, so it was very gentle with everything.
Old VR games just don't play. They play completely differently than modern VR.
I also wouldn't be surprised at all if Valve throws some money to try to entice, in the same way PlayStation and Meta have. I don't think Valve would fund an entire game, but I could see them throwing some money to try to entice AAA developers to do something in PC VR, because that scene is essentially dead right now. There's not a lot coming to PC VR that doesn't come to Quest and that kind of holds back PC VR. PC VR can do a lot. Same with PlayStation VR, but they have Sony helping them out. But you can do a lot on the hardware of a PC that you can't do on a standalone headset. And I could see Valve trying to throw some money around to make that happen. Because I think they've got it. Valve has,
yeah,
they've got the money.
And I could certainly see a first-party Sony game coming out exclusively for PSVR 2 as well.
Oh yeah,
you've got to think at least a couple of those have to be in development.
Yeah. I mean, Horizon Call of the Mountain is. I don't think a lot of people played it, but among the people that have played it, I have heard that it is Half-Life Alyx level.
Yeah, I hear it's quality. Really, really good. Yeah. I'd play it if it didn't make me sick to my stomach.
No, you got to get those VR legs. Yeah, you just have to. You just have to do standing experiences that don't make you sick at all until you get used to it.
we talked about this a lot last episode, but I think I'm just highly unfortunate in that I'm extra sensitive, and where I don't want to just like ruin my day to like get 20% of the way closer to not getting sick. You know?
I mean, I thought you said that standing stuff doesn't, like, if there's no locomotion, you said it didn't make you sick. I thought.
It doesn't, but like even that, like after 20, 30 minutes, I feel done with that.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, you know, you just kind of have to.
Everyone's built different. I'm just built wrong, I guess.
I mean, how much time have you spent in the PSVR 2? Have you given it a shot outside of Horizon? I'm curious.
Yeah, I've played a few games.
Okay.
Like around when it launched, I used it for a few days, but like definitely I feel like I need to get back into it.
Because
and try it again.
Something with the Quest 3, I don't know if it's the superior lenses with like a better field of view or like the higher
Pancake
refresh
lenses.
rate. Yeah. But something about it, games that made me sick, like I can just do stuff that I couldn't do on my old headset. And I don't know what it is. That I don't know what they're cooking, but it's working for me. I just don't get sick in it. And stuff that, like, even when I was playing VR, like I was playing Beat Saber daily for a long time, and just spending a ton of time in VR, I was never able to like move around with a joystick until.
Oh, actually, yeah. Like on that note, I almost forgot about this. PlayStation 5 Pro will probably give PSVR 2 a shot in the arm as well.
Yeah.
Because similarly with PS4 Pro, it massively improved the PSVR in terms of like resolution, rendering, and stuff.
I wonder whether performance is even an issue on PSVR 2 though, because it has.
I don't think performance is an issue, but like image fidelity will definitely go up with the Pro console.
I don't know that it will in VR because of...
It did from PS4 to PS4 Pro.
I know, but PS4 didn't have foveated rendering. So you were not rendering at the full resolution. And the PS4 also wasn't targeting 4K all the time.
Yeah, no. So maybe resolution is the wrong word, but I could definitely see like improved texture maps and that sort of thing.
I'm
like just adding
to see,
higher fidelity assets to the games themselves in PS5 Pro mode.
Because the total number of pixels in your VR headset is probably lower than on a 4K TV. I don't actually know the total resolution of PSVR 2, but if I had to guess, it's probably lower resolution than a 4K TV. It's probably 2K eyes, or maybe a little more than that.
Yeah, each display has a resolution of 2000 by 2040.
Yeah, so it's roughly a 4K TV. So they're not and with foveated rendering, it's doing less than it would be doing for a full 4K TV. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you will get better performance.
It's got to use that juice somehow.
I just don't think it needs it. Is what I'm saying. I don't think that's the shot in the arm PSVR 2 needs. It needs games.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not the shot in the arm it needs, but it'll help.
Yeah,
like it'll help just be an overall better experience, even though it's quite a good experience already. But yes, yeah, we need the games.
Maybe the
sure.
PS5 price will drop enough for me to finally buy one this year.
Oh yeah, with the Pro coming out, I could. Well, I guess that's the question, right? Like, so the rumors have the PS5 Pro around a 3080 level GPU.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's like markedly below the cutting edge PC, current cutting edge PC as we'd expect, but
it's very close to my PC though.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like, how can they release this thing and not charge like $600?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I suppose we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited for. I don't know. I've spent a lot of time thinking about VR. I also hurt my elbow from throwing the axe in Asgard's Wrath too much.
Oh,
VR
injuries
today
are definitely a thing.
It's a repetitive motion thing. There were some.
Oh, okay. You didn't like actually hit.
No,
something.
I didn't hit something. I like tweaked it from throwing the axe so much.
Classic RSI from VR moment.
Yeah, no, kind of embarrassing, but.
No, I legitimately think that 2024 might be the year of a lot of hurt for the gaming industry, but a lot of positive things. Like, indies are going to be good this year. I'm predicting we're going to have another indie banger.
Yeah, there's room in the space this year. There wasn't room for the indies to breathe last year with all the AAA releases, but this year there's room for indie games to come out and really... I suspect my game of the year will be indie this year. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, there's room for games to breathe. We've got some worrying trends, right? Like with AI, consolidation. But we've got some things to be excited for, like a new Nintendo console. That's a seminal event
Yeah.
whenever it happens, for better or for worse.
And we have all these VR headsets coming. VR, AR. You know, the Valve one's not confirmed, but we've got Samsung, Apple, and Sony all stepping into the space. Sony aside from PlayStation.
Yeah.
Not gaming focused, but I don't think this will be the year of VR, but I think it'll lay the groundwork for 2025 to be.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the whole concept of the year of VR might be a bit too idealistic.
I think we missed it.
Like,
we're
slowly getting there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an iterative process. Like,
yeah. I think you're just going to open your eyes one day and like
VR is going to be a thing.
It's going to be the Nintendo DS. Like every kid you know is going to have a headset. Yeah.
Especially when the Switch 2 ships with VR integrated into each game.
If that were to happen, like that would do it, you know? It'd be a game changer.
I just hope they don't make the same mistake they made with the Wii U, where they're like, this is the Switch me.
The Switch.
Or the Switch.
The Switch goggles.
Yeah, like,
the Switch.
Come on.
Switch, you know?
Just call it the Switch 2. We all want you to call it the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Oh, also, the Valve Decker.
Or the Super Switch.
It's going to be called the Aperture Lens, is what they're going to call it. That's my prediction for the next Valve headset.
Oh, Aperture is like a Portal thing, right?
Yeah, Aperture is the company from Portal. And
that's pretty cool.
Aperture is a camera thing. So the Aperture Lens is going to be the...
That's a good name.
Yeah. You can have that one for free, Gabe. Just credit me.
All right. Do we have any other predictions we want to throw out there? I think we discussed a good variety of things already.
I really don't have any other predictions. Like it's real hard to predict an entire year of gaming, especially when 2023 was absolutely wild.
No, we just don't know that much about 2024. Like a lot of the games I know about are coming 2025.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case for the games. I guess I was just more thinking of like industry-wide kind of things.
I don't know. It's so hard to... I think Game Pass is going to continue to be great.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of worried about Sony first party this year. There's like nothing happening.
Yeah.
But maybe there's some unannounced thing that's going to happen in the back half of the year. But like, this is definitely not how I remember the PS4 generation going, especially in the back half, which I guess we're just now entering the back half.
Yeah.
There was just seemingly game after game after game. So hopefully we get some stuff from Sony first party, just personally speaking, because that's my console.
Oh, I think I bet we get God of War Ragnarok on PC this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think it'll be late.
I could see that happening.
Bet it'll be like October, but...
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for Xbox, we're going to see like Hellblade this year and probably a couple other things. Like Xbox will probably have more of a first party presence than Sony this year, I would think.
Another outlandish one. I wouldn't be completely shocked if Valve and PlayStation team up on VR. Like if we get Half-Life Alyx on PlayStation
God,
VR.
I would love that.
And maybe get like Horizon on PC. You know, that trade-off. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if that would happen because they have a fairly like you have to dig back pretty far, but like when you bought Portal 2 on PS3, you got a Steam code. Like this sort of thing has happened before. So
yeah,
Valve knows how to get people in an ecosystem. If anybody's gonna, if anybody could save high-end VR, it's them, I think.
All right. So if we're done with predictions, do we want to get into some stuff we're playing?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, I'm going to go first just because mine's quick.
Okay.
So I finally beat the Quarry.
Oh.
So if we remember the Quarry, it was kind of like the
game.
Until Dawn like. And I was playing it with a particular group of friends, if you could remember. So it's really hard to get
it's the D&D problem, yeah.
4 people together in a room to play a video game for several hours, especially when you live in different states. But we managed to do it on my Texas trip that I talked about last episode. And we beat the Quarry, and it was highly disappointing, not because of the game itself, but because of the decisions that we made were so god-awful. It resulted in a terrible ending that didn't really resolve the story threads. So, like, basically everyone died except 2 people.
Were you able to
and
save
one of them
Ariel
was like
Winter?
A werewolf by the end. So we our decisions were so bad we basically missed a huge chunk of the game
Oh my
towards the
God.
end. Which I guess that's just the way it goes sometimes with these games, especially when you like pass the controller around. Like some people are better at or more familiar with the controls than others.
Yeah.
So you get kind of these interesting results. But hey, that's kind of what makes it fun, right? Like I think I read somewhere that there's like 329 different permutations of how like you can go through this game just based off all the different decision trees that happen.
Yeah.
But ours was a particularly violent conclusion to that game.
What a cool game.
Like a lot of those kids got freaking mauled,
Yeah.
like very violently.
I really enjoyed watching streamers play that when it was new.
Yeah, but like apparently to get the best ending, you had to like be friendly with this cop,
Oh,
and I
deal
was
breaker.
controlling the character, like talking to the cop, and I didn't feel like being friendly towards the cop. So towards the end of the game, I ended up getting killed by this cop.
That
Or
sucks.
one of the girls got like stabbed to death
Yeah.
by this cop, and I was like, well, this sucks.
Eh.
Like, I'm sure, like with the Quarry, there's so many different permutations. I'm sure there was a way to be like not cooperative with the cop and still have like an overall good ending, but
Yeah.
we did not get that. Yeah, like one of the characters had their face blasted off by a shotgun.
Yeah.
And it's just like jarring, right? Because like you're actually controlling these kids, and to see them die that violently, because it's like a horror movie,
They're
right?
also
So
like,
the deaths are all going to be like over the top, gory. So, and I guess that's part of the fun.
they're also
but-
faces, you know. Like it's Ariel Winter, it's the girl
Yeah.
who played London Tipton. It's
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, like you know these people, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So London Tempted Girl got frozen to death.
Aw.
We, in our infinite wisdom, thought it'd be a good idea to hide in the freezer.
Oh man.
And then the freezer was locked, so she
Oh,
just stayed in
man.
there and froze overnight.
Nope. That'll do it.
Yeah, reflecting on it, obviously hindsight is 2020, but we made shockingly bad choices.
I like that though, because like when you're watching a horror movie, you're always thinking like, God, that's not how I'd have done it.
but that clearly
It's
is
exactly
how
how
we would do
you'd
it.
have done it. Yeah.
So
Ahmed does not survive the horror movie.
I guess not. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like only one guy came out unscathed, and the other person. So we had two people survive. One guy was actually unscathed, like probably psychologically destroyed by the events of the evening, but other than that, unscathed. The other girl was a werewolf, like got turned into a werewolf
Tough
at
luck.
the end. So at least she's alive, I guess, but she was not okay. And then everyone else was dead.
That's rough.
But it was a fun game. Like I really enjoyed it. Like Supermassive, I believe, are the developers, and they've put out some stinkers, but every time they make one of these kind of games, they really cook. So I hope they kind of learn their lesson and just make more of these from now on, like Until Dawn and the Quarry. Like they're super fun, especially fun in a group. And what I really liked is when we beat the game, we unlocked like a mode that would let us replay the game, but we get like 3 rewinds.
Oh, nice.
So we basically
Yeah.
have 3 chances to correct mistakes that we make. So I think it would be fun replaying it with that feature enabled, but we had our, I guess, canon playthrough, and it was not a pretty sight. But that's part of the fun. So finally done with the Quarry. Can finally move that one off the backlog after being there for like a year plus.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next?
I can go next. I think I'm going to talk Half-Life Alyx. I've talked about it on the show before, but I did a full. I didn't know this was what I was going to do. I was just testing out my new headset, but I ended up doing a full front to back playthrough of Half-Life Alyx. And it turns out that game's like crazy replayable. It is just such an achievement for VR for that game that like it's so gentle, like with not making you motion sick. It never moves you. Like you can always teleport around and you don't feel like you're missing anything. The guns feel so good. All the sound effects are incredible. The visuals are crazy good. It's really one of those things, like it's very hard to sell somebody on, I think, until they've seen it. But it really just like, there's a scene in this game that is like Uncharted level, like destruction happening around you. And it's actually like a little scary the first time you see it. Just to see all that happening. Because it feels very real. In a way that like something like Asgard's Wrath style is a little more cartoony. Half-Life Alyx feels very real. And there are like scary parts to it. There's comedy. It understands what's really fun about VR, which in my opinion is mostly throwing stuff. It feels so good to just pick up a glass bottle and throw it at a wall and hear it shatter, and it just feels like how I imagine throwing a glass bottle would feel. Just a really good game. It feels so like your enemies throw a grenade at you. You can use your little like gravity gloves that you have to grab the grenade out of the air and throw it right back at them. It knows how to give you like moments where you're desperate and low on ammo, but it also knows how to give you moments where you feel extremely powerful, like you're like a one-man army who's going to cut through this wave of Combine forces by yourself. And the way that it manages to capture both of those, it's just a really well-designed game. Like I've not really fallen in love with, I liked Portal 2, but I've never really fallen in love with any of Valve's games before Half-Life Alyx. And now that I've played it, I really want to go back and play the Half-Life games, because it also like, the voice acting was good throughout, and I liked the character writing, but I was not that invested in the narrative. But in the last like 10, 15 minutes, they really drew me in and made me want to play the rest of the franchise. Like learn some of the revelations, some of the character acting and everything. It was just a crazy good game. It's a shame that it has such a high barrier to entry, that so many people aren't going to experience it. Especially like when it came out, when it came out, the VR hardware you needed to play it was still fairly expensive. I think now, I think the most popular graphics card is like a 1660 Ti or something. Like, it's plenty to play Half-Life Alyx on low or medium settings with whatever headset you can get a hold of, for $100. It's much more attainable now, but the hype is kind of gone around it, I think, which is a shame.
Well, I don't know about the hype being gone. Like, people still point to this as the best VR game ever made.
It is, but
So
it doesn't have that release window hype where it was still new.
Yeah. I mean, I really want to play this game. Like, I'm just praying it comes to PSVR 2.
I think that would be
I guess
really
I could
cool, yeah.
shell out, what, like $500 for a MetaQuest?
You could shell out $500 for a new Quest 3, or you could shell out like
Quest 3?
$150 for a used Quest 2, or $250 for a Quest 2, and
Yeah.
get like 90% of that experience. The barrier to entry is much lower than it used to be. A VR headset for PC can be had for like $100 in a lot of circumstances. So, I don't know. What a game. Like, it's one of those things that, like, at the time, the price was so high that I don't know if I could say it was worth the barrier to entry. Now that the barrier to entry has been lowered substantially, yeah, it's a console seller. Like, at $250 or at $500 versus $1,000 that it was to buy an Index, it's a system seller that I think is pretty compelling. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm going to play one of these days. There's just too much
I wish it
around
would
this
come
game
to
for me to
PSVR.
ignore it.
Or I wish PSVR 2 would get PC support, although there's been very little movement on that front.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just a ridiculously good game.
All right. Mike,
I don't want to talk about Dauntless yet.
you
God.
said that last episode.
I did, but that was yesterday, and I haven't played it since yesterday. Maybe I should talk about Volcanoids, because I don't think I've talked about it yet. Have I?
Volcanize?
Volcanoids.
Volcanoids. No, I don't think you have.
Yeah. Well, I beat it. It's a survival game in quotes where most of your survival is done on a big old drill.
A drill?
Yeah, a big old drill. The whole crux is every 30-ish minutes a volcano goes off and you have to go underground. or else
I've seen
you just
clips
get
of
annihilated.
this. It looks fun.
It's fun. A little dumb, and I think it took us 11 hours to beat, me and a friend.
Yeah. That's fine.
But
how much was it?
Oh, how much did I pay for it?
Probably less than $30, right? Like,
Let's see. $20.
yeah, 11
Yeah,
$11
$20.
hours out of $20 game's
But
great. That's a great
I
value.
think one of my biggest bugbears is that it is good. You just get towards the end and everything becomes so difficult to fight through because you do have to fight robots to get progress through the game. It just becomes annoying. Like a late game, everything just does damage. Everything can kill you in seconds. It gets way too difficult for no reason.
What's the gameplay like? Is it like
It's a
third-person
first-person
shooter?
kind of shooter-esque. go out, grab materials, raid enemy drill ships for more materials, kill the robots inside, go back, upgrade your own drill ship, blow up lasers that cause the volcano. It's very linear, and it holds your hand through most of the game with a quest line. So the game will literally guide you through everything you need to do.
Yeah, when indie games have that problem, I can't help but wonder if they just didn't have any playtesters make it to the end game, you know? Because I run into that all the time with like smaller games I make, is that the beginning gets playtested to death.
Like the beginning was, and then like the beginning robots were easy to kill, and then you get toward the end where like,
yeah,
if you don't gimmick the AI a little, you're just gonna get melted because they have Tesla coils that'll just shoot down any projectiles you throw, so that your grenades or rockets or anything. So
yeah.
Doing any amount of serious damage to their drill ship turrets requires you to take down those Teslas first. All the while you're being assaulted by 30 to 40 robots. It gets hectic. But it's fun. There's a progression system there. I wouldn't pick it up yet, but it is very early access.
Okay, yeah.
Mike only plays early access games.
He's too hungry for them.
Yeah. Building's not good. The building's okay actually, but
doesn't it just get destroyed when you have to go underground?
All your building's done on the drill ship. The drill ship's literally your base.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that sounds nice. Yeah.
So the drill ship is your base, but I'd let it cook a little more before you pick it up, because it's
not a big early.
They're
access
about
guy.
to rework the entire island that you play on, and they're probably going to rework drill ships and everything, because a lot of the devices that you could build on the drill ship are absolutely useless. Like 95% of what you can build in the game has no real use, and I've never found a reason to use it. Like the turrets are useful, the crafting upgrades are useful, but anything else like the decor items or any of like the gauges or anything, they don't serve a purpose. They just look there. They just look there. They're just there for looks, really. Like they'll tell you the same thing the front of the drill ship will say, or they allow you to turn off certain modules to save power. But at that point, it's pointless.
Yeah.
But
I gotta leave it to Mike to always bring the deep cuts.
This isn't that deep cut of a game though. It's been an early.
It blew up on TikTok.
Yeah, it's been early access since 2019.
I saw it on TikTok a ton. It like blew up on TikTok back before I deleted that app. That was before I moved. That was well before I moved. That was maybe a year ago.
Volcanoids.
I didn't know what it was called.
It was
I just
fun
thought of it as the big
it.
drill game.
Yeah, it was fun playing through it, but I don't think I'm going to touch it again until I get a new group of friends involved.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you meant by drill. Like, for some reason, I was picturing all this happening on the ocean.
No.
Well,
it's just a
dumb place to have a drill.
A giant drill.
Yeah,
okay. It's a giant drill.
I was thinking like oil.
Or
something.
No, it's fun. The aesthetic's cool. It just needs more time in the oven.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about it. That's aight.
I'm gonna shout out NomaiVR while I have the chance. It's a full conversion mod to play all of Outer Wilds in VR. You can see your hands in it. You have the little Hearthian hands. You actually have your tools on your tool belt. You can actually see like your space helmet in your peripheral vision when you're wearing it. The ship controls work. Like the full game is playable. It's something you really need your VR legs to play, but it's really cool. I was checking it out right before we recorded. I just wanted to give it a shout out.
Is it still? It's still a little. Is it still being worked on? I guess.
I think it's done. Like
It's done.
I don't know what else they would do. Like the translator works. The signal scope works. The everything you want to do in the ship works. They added like an autopilot button you actually reach out and touch. Like,
dude, I can't imagine playing that game in VR and then like accidentally falling into the sun or something.
Yeah, horrifying.
Probably like in real life scar me for life.
Yeah, it would be really scary.
Or just in that game in general in VR, just like looking up and seeing the sun exploding.
Yeah,
and then,
I didn't play it long enough to see the sun explode, but I feel like that's a must-have experience. I'm probably going to do that after
Just
after we're
like-
done here.
You just gain enlightenment after that.
Yeah, like no, there's just so many locations. Like I am someone who loves that game so much that I will just fire it up and fly to my favorite locations in it just to hang out there for a minute and then turn it off. Like
Yeah.
I usually don't spend more than 10 or 15 minutes doing that, but
Yeah, Outer Wilds was one of those games for me where I'm like, I'm going to play this, and I hope like in 10 years I would have forgotten all about it so I can play it again.
yeah, that'll never happen for me. I think about it all the time. All the time. If I see a streamer that I've even sort of heard of playing it, I'm watching it. I'm watching it all the way through.
Yeah.
I just have so much love for that game. I genuinely, it's just the best game I've ever played. It is the most important game to me of anything I've ever played.
Yeah.
Very special to like be able to see it and through that new lens.
Yeah, now you can play it in VR.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm never gonna there's no point in me playing through the whole game again. But like I gotta visit the major landmarks, Quantum Moon, gotta go there, I might play the ending. I actually probably will do that. I'll probably play through the full ending of the game. That'll be trippy.
Yeah.
That'll actually I don't know. I'll have to clean the tears out of my headset.
All right,
and I do
any other games?
I want to say one more thing. A knock against the Quest 3. I don't know what it is about it, but I have to clean those lenses every single time I put it on, and it doesn't come with a microfiber cloth. You don't use.
I feel like that's any VR headset though.
Yeah, not a
For
single
me,
one
at
does.
least.
because of the way that I think maybe just because of the way my other one sat on my face, I never had to clean the lenses. It was very rare, but this one, it's like every time I put it on, I'm having to take it back off, wipe the lenses, and put it back on. It's getting on my nerves. I think it might even be condensation sometimes, like from me breathing and fogging them up and having to wipe them off. It's weird. It's not something I usually have to do in the middle of a session, but like at the beginning, I typically have to take it off and wipe them down. Not a huge knock, obviously, but something to think about.
But a knock nonetheless.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at @podcastgametalk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or any other podcast services you use. Click the link in the description to join our Discord and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.